Hi, folks. What would you do if you found out someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse in their marriage? Since hearing about the recent domestic abuse situation and the recent unaliving of Micah Miller, whether by her own hand or that of another, my heart has been heavy. She was an abused pastor's wife who was trying to get away from her husband, who pastors a church in the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area. Micah's death made me remember the time I served as a volunteer at a family abuse shelter. The women and children who came to this place were in fear for their lives. That impacted me greatly to see their situations. So I am doing this podcast today as I want to see pastors and churches, friends and family better respond to help people in abusive situations like this, to be able to help them get out safely, to help them get what they need in terms of help, and for them to know that Jesus cares about their situation. Abusive marriages can occur in your church, on your church staff, can be at your place of work, in your neighborhood, or even in your circle of friends. They often will not say anything to you unless it gets to a certain point where they realize they absolutely have to have some outside help. Domestic abuse, contrary to some views, is not only limited to physical abuse. A person can experience emotional, verbal, sexual, and financial abuse in a marriage. Emotional and verbal abuse is very damaging. It is like hitting a person, but with words. And unlike physical abuse, it leaves no external wounds for you to see. Women experience domestic abuse more often than men, although men can also experience violence in marriage as well. Will women or men seeking help from you or your church find a good old boys club which downplays and ignores domestic abuse? Or will they find the hands and feet of Jesus willing to help? How do you handle situations like this when they arise? First of all, you should be supportive. Don't be the one who says, God hates divorce and thinks marriage counseling is all that is needed. This further causes wounds to the one who needs someone to step up and offer protection to them. This topic of divorce can cause a pause in help for some people who don't want the abused to leave their marriage because they think it is a sin. However, this is simply not the case. Dr. Russell Moore states, divorce for domestic violence is not a sin. It's about sin, all right, but it is the sin of the abuser, not the sin of the abused who decides to divorce. The abused in our churches and in our communities needs to see us applying the Bible the right way. And they need to see us embodying the Jesus Christ who protects the vulnerable. So be supportive in stepping up and being there for them. This is, first of all, about getting the abused person to safety and not about a divorce at this point. Second, in handling a domestic abuse situation, assist with needs as you are able. They may need to leave their home quickly and may need clothing, a place to stay, a different phone, and other things. Be able to refer them to a local shelter for advice or be willing to take them to the local shelter if needed, and provide the National Domestic Hotline number. And if you are listening to this and you are being abused in your marriage, please call 1-800-799-7233 or go to the National Domestic Violence Hotline website at thehotline.org. And whether you are the abused or helping the abused, please get advice and education through Called to Peace Ministries at calledtopeace.org or your local domestic abuse shelter. Lastly, remember that the person who is being abused needs to know or remember that she or he is a beloved child of God and that this abuse is not okay. So let the person see this love of God in your actions on their behalf. Isaiah 1:17 states, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. And Micah 6:8 asks the question, what does the Lord require of you? 3 things are listed there: to do justice, to love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. Let us put these verses into practice today in regards to those suffering from domestic violence.